peace, brothers and sisters. The topic of discussion today is 24 elders. We've had a group of Ethereans come down from Etheria and rule our world. During those time, they come for the harvest. In other words, they take humans who are angels in heaven and take them to Etheria in the form of a rapture. But of course, they use the sheep. Now, who are these elders? But before I go there, there are other verses in the OahspeCollegeUniversity that talks about what specifically they do. They come for management of the world. But this particular verse that I'm going to pull up now fits the criteria, though they have other OahspeCollegeUniversity verses. But I like this one, which is the Book of Judgment, chapter 15, verse 6 to 7, verse 6. But to induce the spirits of the dead to rise up from this earth, our world, this is the work and the glory of your God. Verse 7, to make them put away earthly desire, to become pure, wise, strong, and adapted to the sublimited spheres. What an endless labor for your God and his exalted angels. So basically, these elders have finished ruling us for a period of 3,000 years, which is the average length that the OahspeCollegeUniversity gives. Now, who are these elders? So I compiled the information using the OahspeCollegeUniversity and I put it on Microsoft Excel chat, and I've used the numbers to calculate to make sure the numbers are accurate. So starting from the year 1848, going backward. So I make the numbers going fitly, and the numbers are accurate based on Microsoft Excel. So you might have some, especially in the first era, you might have some people when you want to calculate the same one age, which I'm going to bring up in the next topic, which is the extinctions of humans. Humans are going to become extinct, just like animals become extinct. The calculation, some people have different calculation, but I'm using my calculation based on the Microsoft Excel by calculating the year 1848 and based on the numbers that was provided in the OahspeCollegeUniversity. So I'm going to just walk through this charts showing you who these elders are and so forth. So the first one, which is the first angel that ruled our world, which happens to be Sentities, was for the first cycle when he came. On that Etherean name was Sentities, and the rank for the angel that ruled us was an archangel. And I'm going to be using BCE to CE because a lot of people are still not familiar with BK. BK stands for before Cosman. So Cosman the Cosman cycle, the Cosman calendar started in the year 1848. So a lot of people are still not familiar with it. So, I'm going to be using BCE to CE. And the archangel ruled us 7152.3 BCE to 6852.3 BCE. And during this time, the Vortexian radiation, the temperature for human health would have been 98 degrees, which is suitable for humans to live comfortably. Though during the same one age, OahspeCollegeUniversity gives you how some of them were dying off, so which means they were probably not at a proper temperature. But around this time, the Gator Vortexian rate, because the Gator is calculated using 24,000 years. So every 24,000 years, the Vortexian temperature of our planet reduces. You see? So around this time, it will fit 98 degrees. And Sentities ruled for 3,000 years. The next person, which was the next cycle, was an Etherean called Shong, and his rank was a sub chief. He ruled during the period of 6852.3 to 6552.3, and all of them, just to be clear, are Ethereans because they dwell in Etheria. But the first god, which was Sentities, I believe, did not live in Etheria. He lived in between our world and Etheria. So he lived in the Ark ark areas where the lights of the ark dwell. So he was not fully an Ethereal, I believe. He was just an archangel. So they live in the arcs of lights. That's where he dwelled, and he ruled us around that time. So this was the second God that ruled us, and the third God, the third cycle, was by the name of Hun-Li, and ruled us for 3,000 years, from 6552 to 62,523 BCE, and his rank was a surveyor. You got to go to the website to get all this information, but I'm just using the what I did was summarize everything on an Excel chart, and I'm just presenting the information. So the next cycle, which happens to be the fourth cycle, was a female angel by the name of Simpiaban, and her rank was chieftainess. So this was this was a female angel who ruled our world, and for 3,000 years. And this angel ruled for 3,000 years and ruled during the period of 6252 BCE to 5952 BCE. And just to be clear, female angels has the power and the capacity to rule. And this was one of the situations. And as you can see, she was a chieftainess. So that's a higher title, higher than archangel now. The fifth cycle, number 5 cycle, was 3,000 years. And around this time, we're in the second era now. And the Ethereal that ruled us was Paradise. And the status and the rank for this person was a road maker. The period was 59,523 BCE to 56,523 BCE. And around this time, we would have been at the second era during our world. The sixth cycle was for 3,000 years, and the Ethereal god who ruled his name was Goamanga or Goi Manga, and the period was 56,523 to 53,523 BCE, and the period was for 3,000 years. The seventh arc cycle was for 3,200 years, and the Ethereal god was Going Pen. The period was 53,523 to 53,23 BCE. The next one was the next cycle, was the 8th cycle, and around this time, the Voltesian radiation. Remember what I said, that every 24,000 years, the radiation reduces. So around this time, we had the 97th degree, Fahrenheit degree. So the Voltesian degree would have been 97 years, and that was around 5323 BCE to 47323 and this was a goddess, a female now, who ruled us for 3,000 years. The reason you have to track the rotation temperature of our world is because humans they're going to become extinct. In other words, they would not be able to propagate at when the rotation current reaches 94 degrees, in which I'm going to address, do a video on the title will be Extinctions of Humans, and I'm going to address that in the next video. But this video is just to show you the 24 elders who ruled us. The ninth cycle was an Ethereum called C.I.T. Cusius. Sorry for the pronunciation, but the title was Inspector of Roads, and it was 47,323 BCE to 44,623 BCE. And the era at that time would have been the third era, So for those of you who don't understand what the era is, the in the OahspeCollegeUniversity in the 8th era, which is the current era that we're in, which is the Cosman era. So using that, I had to use the computer to track the errors down, because the very first 2 pages of the book of OahspeCollegeUniversity talks about the errors. So we're in the third era around this time, around 47323 to 44623 BCE, and the 10th cycle, the 10th cycle was a female, and her title was chieftainess, and she ruled for 2900 years, and that time the period was 44623 BCE to 41723 BCE, and she was a goddess. So this was a female that ruled our world. And during this time, they usually have an harvest, and the OahspeCollegeUniversity gives a figure of how many angels was drafted to Ethiopia, and they are called bride and bridegrooms. The next one, which was the 11th cycle, was for 3,000 years, and the timeline on that was 4172 BCE to 38723 BCE. The Ethereum god at that time, the name was Gobat. The next one, which is the 12th cycle, was a female angel, Faiz, a goddess, who ruled from 38723 BCE to 35623, and this was the 12th cycle, and for 3100 years. The 13th cycle, which will happen to be the 4th era, this period was 35623 BCE to 32553 BCE, and this was a male angel by the name of Sineantians. Status/rank on this person was a keeper of the cross. The 14th cycle was for 2600 years, and this male angel name was Tut Sentahaga, and the title was a road maker. Period was 32553 BCE to 29553 BCE, and during the 14th cycle, he ruled our world for 2600 years. The 15th cycle was for 3400 years, and this was a god. The title was a god, and the name was Nemesis. The period was 29953 BCE to 26553 BCE. The 16th cycle happens to be a god called Nep, and the Vortesian temperature would have been 96 degrees during this time, because every 24,000 years, OahspeCollegeUniversity makes us understand that the degrees, the temperature, the Vortesian current temperature of our world decreases. So during this time will be 26553 BCE to 23153 BCE, and the Ethereum name was Nep. Now we're gonna go to the important one that people are now familiar with, is the 17th cycle, and this is when the world was destroyed, but not everything, but just a continent, and this was the 17th cycle, and the name of that ark was Noe, Noe. Now, if you get a Christian Bible that was published before the year 2000 or the year 1900. So before the year 2000, you see that name Noe in the book of Matthew. And for some weird reason, they changed it later on to Noah. But the OahspeCollegeUniversity recorded it as Nohi. It was not a boat. It was a continent that was destroyed. And this continent was the name of the continent was Pan. And it was during the 17th Aksaku that the Ethiopian who was in charge, the name was Hamp. And he was an Orion chief, much, much higher than a archangel. He ruled from 153 BCE to 19553 BCE, and the cycle, the amount of years that he was around was 3600 years. And it was around this time, it was during this time that the continent of Pan was destroyed. They break the angels there were other angels who came in to perform this function, and they destroyed the continent of Pan completely because there was too much of spirits of darkness, and they could not even raise one good angel from that continent. So the judgment was made to destroy this continent completely. And this was what you call the flood of Pan. But the Christian Bible, ignorantly call it the flood that destroyed the entire world, which is not true. It was just a continent that was destroyed around this time. And this was the fifth era. So the next cycle, which happens to be the 18th Act cycle, it was a lion chief by the name of Su. And he ruled for 1953 BCE to 1635, from 19553 BCE to 16353 BCE. And the amount of years, the length of the cycle was 3200. And this particular angel title was an Orion chief, a very high rank. And this was the 18th cycle. Now we're going to go to the next cycle, which I believe some people are familiar with that name, which is the 19th cycle. And the name of the angel is Apollo. Apollo ruled us from the period of 1635-3 BCE to 13553 BCE, and Apollo ruled us for 2800. And by the way, Apollo once lived on the continent of Pan, and he was once human, but while being human, after death, he rose from first heaven to second heaven, from second heaven to third heaven. In third heaven, he became a bride and bridegroom angel. And then he rose to ethereal, where he continued to rise. You see? And later on, he came back to rule us as a God. And now that's one of the purpose of we humans. We become God after death. But you got to go through the educational system. So Apollo is a perfect example of a human that once lived in our world and came to rule us afterward. Now, during the time of Apollo, there's what you call symmetry of man. He was responsible to give symmetry of man. He was his idea was kind of different from the other Ethereans. The next one is the 20th Aksaku, which people are familiar with his name, which happens to be Thor. Thor was an Orion chief, and his rule was for 3200 during a period of 13553 BCE to 10353 BCE. And Apollo introduced what we call today idols. You got to read your OahspeCollegeUniversity to get an understanding of why this was introduced to humans. But I'm not going to get into it because this is just to talk about the elders who've ruled us and how many are they. They're 24 in numbers, and I'm on right now talking about Apollo. I'm sorry, Thor. Thor also ruled us, and he was an Orion chief. The next cycle, which happened to be the 21st cycle, by this time, we're on the sixth era, and Osiris, which is a popular name, happened to rule us, and for 3,300 years. And he ruled us from during the period of 10,353 BCE all the way down to 7,053 BCE, and he was an Orion god. Osiris should not be confused with the Osiris that came during the time of Egypt. That's a false Osiris. But this Osiris was a god and he ruled us. And during this time, he introduced to us astrology and science. This is what Osiris did. He introduced astrology and science, not the polluted astrology we have today, you know. So the next one is the 22nd cycle, and this is my favorite angel. I'm talking about an angel beyond your imagination. The name of this angel is Fragapeti. Fragapeti was an Orion chief, and he was the one that introduced Zarathustra. Zarathustra came around this time when Fragapeti was ruling us, and he ruled us from 7053 BCE all the way down to 3953 BCE, a period of 3,100 years. If you have now read the book of Fragapeti in the OahspeCollegeUniversity, I suggest strongly that you go read this book. Fragapeti. If you don't read any book in the OahspeCollegeUniversity and you read just the book of Fragapeti, trust me on this. You don't even need anything else because it sums everything up. And it was during this time that Zarathustra, the prophet Aisu, was born. And he was an Aisu. And if you've not watched my video on who and what is Jesus, you should go watch that. In there, I decode how Aisu came about. So during this time is when Zarathustra, who happened to be a prophet, and some people still do, they still follow the religion of Zarathustra today. They're known as Faithists, you know. For example, I'm a Faithist, so I still follow guidelines of Zarathustra religion. The reason why is because he was inspired by a true God. Okay, Fragapeti was my favorite angel in the OahspeCollegeUniversity. Next, in the next cycle, we now begin to see familiar information. And this was the 23rd arc cycle, and this was a female angel. Her title was an Orion chieftainess, and her name was Spinta Emerge. I tell you, you got to go read the OahspeCollegeUniversity. Fantastic angel, amazing angel. She did a lot of stuff. During this time was when Abraham, Brahma, Po, and Iwanta was introduced to our world. Abraham was introduced to our world during the time of 3953 BCE to 1553 BCE. And it was during this time that Abraham was born, Brahma was born, Po was born, and Iwanta was born. These are prophets. These are humans during that time. They could see with their eyes closed. I'm telling you, they had what you call the fifth sense, the third eye open. They could see clearly without sugarcoating, you know. And Simta Amaj ruled us during that time. The 24th arc cycle is Lika, a Nivanian chief. Now, just to be clear, a Nivanian is a higher title than the Orion chief. Now, it was during the time of 1553 BCE to 1848 CE. You see that? So now 1848 stands for CE during our time, but BCE was 1553. It was during this time that Moses was born. Chine, a prophet, Naisu in China was born, and Capilia, Lika during the Act Cycle of Bond was responsible, and he ruled us for 3,400 years. This was the 24 Act Cycle. Lika gave us Moses. It was during this time that Moses was born. Now, this was the last cycle, the last elder that ruled us, and he was a Nivanian chief. It's amazing how the titles change, but you gotta go watch my videos. I did a video about the ranks of angels. Maybe I might change that title in the future and just come up with the ranks and explain it. That might be a better idea. But this year was a Nivanian angel, higher than an Orion angel, and higher than Archangel. Now, he ruled us for 3,400 years. Now, during this time, like I said, was when Moses was born, around 1553 BCE. Now, during this time, the Vortestian radiation of our planet, of our world, would be 95 degrees now, around that time. Because remember, humans they're going to become extinct. So right now, we humans can live in good health. But once the degree drop to 94 degrees, humans will stop to propagate. And in my next video, I'm going to talk about it. But just before I stop, there is a 25th Art Cycle, which we're currently in right now. I did not put that because the cycle started in 1848. And that I might address that in my next video, extinction of humans, depending on the, but I'm just throwing that out there that we're currently in the 25th Act Cycle, we're in the 25th cycle right now. But for the 24 cycles, those were the elders that ruled us, and out of those 24, 5 of them were female angels. The remaining 19 were male angels. A lot of people think it was just one God that ruled us from about 79,000 years ago, but that's not true. We've had many gods. I have just mentioned 19 gods that ruled us, 19 angels, and 5 female angels. In total, 24 angels have ruled us. So this was just to summarize the elders that ruled us in our world. 19 of them were male and 5 of them were females. In conclusion, 24 angels have ruled our world, an average length of 2,400 years. Usually the length is 3,000, but as you can see in the chart, some of them ruled us for 3,400 years. Some ruled for 2,400 years. Some of them ruled us for 2,800 years. Some ruled for 2,900, 3,000, 3,200. But in conclusion, they all ruled for a number of years, but perhaps you usually give an average cycle of 3,000 years. This will conclude my broadcast on 24 elders. These were fantastic, amazing angels that ruled us. Angels that you cannot even begin to comprehend with your mind. They could start a ship, a boat, a plane with your mind. They could read more than 1,000 voices at the same time. You see that? These are angels beyond human understanding. And they came to rule us, and what they usually do is take an harvest back to Etheria after the end of the period. Light and peace, brothers and sisters. Bye-bye now. Peace, brothers and sisters.